Hello, Just Too Good here, continuing my LEGO Star Wars overview of every set. We last left off at the 2008 sets, which is what we're going to cover here, 2008, 2009, 2010 for LEGO Star Wars. And this is just a quick kind of look at each set from each year. It won't be the most educated thing because I'm not so versed in the Star Wars universe, but I'll still express my thoughts and what I think of the sets. Actually, this was the year that the Clone Wars came out, and I've never really got into Clone Wars, so you may see a little bit of, I guess, inaccuracies out of my mouth for those sets, but I will tell you what I think of them. But let's start off with the battle packs, and these were two battle packs in 2008. There was an Imperial Dropship set, which was really cool because it's an expanded universe set, and it came with our first Shadow Trooper, which is a really awesome looking minifigure. It was a really cheap way to get the original trilogy Stormtroopers. I wish they would release the original trilogy Stormtroopers with the most recent version in cheap sets nowadays. Then we also got the Rebel Scout Speeder, which was a very cheap way to get some Rebel Scouts, and it had a really cool looking vehicle. I love the new helmet mold that they made for them. And this was, like I said, the first year for the Clone Wars. This first set right here, Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, which has the Clone Wars style and everything, was released in January 2008. And let's talk about that Clone Wars minifigure style. LEGO thought it was a good idea to emulate the eyes and the kind of CGI faces of the Clone Wars TV show onto LEGO minifigures, and honestly, it didn't really end up looking so good. So this one, you could see Anakin does have that style. And then there's a Hailfire droid and Spider droid. This one doesn't have any human minifigures, so you don't see that style here. But this was, I think, our third Hailfire droid, if I recall correctly. But this was also based off the Clone Wars. And what was cool about these two was when they were first released, they had the Darth Vader border with the red kind of outline and everything that you'll see with some of the other sets. But when they were released later, they re-released the sets later that year, they had the Clone Wars border that you see on the pictures that I use in this video. Either way, that's just a little interesting fact. And we got the ATTP Walker in Episode 3 set, which actually looks really cool. I do like this set. Or, sorry, ATAP Walker. It was only $40. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. The Rogue Shadow. This was really cool because this was a Star Wars The Force Unleashed set. LEGO's first video game-based set, actually, if you think about it. And this was cool because of the minifigures. I don't really care about the Rogue Shadow vehicle from the game, but I love the minifigures because what you have here is Darth Vader, who, this is the special battle damage version, which goes for a lot secondhand now. But he looks incredible with a new kind of neck attachment that is like a broken down helmet. There's Juno Eclipse, whose face looks really odd because they changed up the style of the eyes and it just doesn't look very LEGO-like. But the rest of the body and everything looks cool. And the Apprentice is pretty cool because it has a frowny little Lego face, which we don't see much frowny Lego face with just simple dots as pupil style. And his torso has some blood on it, which may be the first minifigure with blood on it. I'm not entirely sure about that. Then there's a MagnaGuard Starfighter. I like this set for the MagnaGuards, but I believe this was around $50, which is pretty steep. There's a V-19 Torrent, which was $55 if I recall correctly. And yeah, I never really cared about the V-19 ship. The ATTE Walker, which was interesting because it was the first set with Jabba's son, I forgot his name, and the first set with Ahsoka Tano. It also came with Captain Rex. And then we got the Republic Attack Gunship. This was, I think, our second Republic Gunship, but our first set with Asajj Ventress and Plo Koon. There's also the Droid Gunship set, which was, I don't know, I think the most recent version from 2014 is just a lot better. This one looks a little bit bare bones. The Republic Fighter Tank. Yeah, I don't think we got another one of these, and this was actually $50, and I do like the design of this tank, honestly. There's the Twilight, which we haven't got another one of these either. And I always liked the design of this. I used to call it the chicken ship, even though it looks a little bit like a chicken to me, but I still love it because of the chunkiness of the middle part, which, I don't know, it looks like there's a lot of space inside there. I hope to one day get that set and see how much space is in there and everything like that. And you also got Ahsoka Tano in another set, and Jabba's son, I keep forgetting his name. There's also the Separatist Spider Droid, which I think was our second or third Spider Droid, not entirely sure. But we've gotten many more since, unfortunately. And we got some polybags, including the TIE Fighter, which this one I keep seeing at my targets, I think in the same old style. I don't know why it's still there. There's the Mini Snowspeeder, which I heard this set never actually got released, so it's a canceled set. The V-19 Torrent, which, I think it was the first Clone Wars polybag. General Grievous, which is not a polybag. We're going straight into UCS sets. This was one of the two UCS sets released for 2008, and it looks pretty darn cool. I mean, it's a huge figure. I think one of my friends had it in real life, so I've seen it before. It was only $90 for, I think, around 1,000 pieces, which is a pretty good deal. And it just looks really cool on display. I think the action figure or construction figure version is a lot better than this one now, but back then this was like the definitive, I guess, Lego Star Wars building figure. It's definitely a step up than, say, the Yoda figure from around 2002 or whatever. There's also the Death Star, which this is, you know, the most iconic Lego Star Wars set. I mean, it's so known by so many people, which is funny because it's a limited release set, but it's appeared in shows like Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. Humongous set, just recently, super recently, like, I don't know, earlier this week, got retired, or last week, I don't know, and this was $400. There was a clone turbo tank, which was a Brickmaster polybag, which back in the day I was like, oh my gosh, this set looks so cool, because it was one of the first sets that I saw when I joined the Lego fan community of Brick Set that said it wasn't released, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait until the set comes out. But now, looking back, it's just an average polybag, nothing really special there. And then there was this Clone Wars San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set, which is a mix between the Hailfire droid set, which is kind of weird as an exclusive set, but can't really complain there. Then there's the 2009 sets, and you gotta keep in mind, 2009 was the 10th anniversary of Lego Star Wars, so they made some sets to commemorate that. But the first set was a Corporate Alliance tank droid. This was a Clone Wars set, you know, just continuing the Clone Wars theme. But I think it was the first of the tank droid sets, but I might be wrong about that because I don't remember. It's been so long since I covered all the earlier sets. Either way, there was the Echo Base set, which this was basically what Hoth Attack was this year, you know, the most recent Hoth Attack set from 2016. But this was a better set. It's the same price, $25, but instead you got 5 minifigures instead of, what does the new one have, 3, I think? Or 4, I'm not entirely sure. And it also comes with a Tauntaun, which the new one does not have. And it, like I said, it comes with 5 minifigures. I just think it's a better set in that aspect. I wish the new one had a Tauntaun, and then maybe I would be saying, hey, you know what, this is not really that much better than the newest one. There's also Ahsoka's Starfighter and Droids, which was really interesting because this was the cheapest way to get Ahsoka Tana, but the more interesting part is that this was a Walmart exclusive in the United States. Another exclusive was Count Dooku's Solar Sailor, sorry. This was really interesting because this was a Toys R Us exclusive, but this was the first set to have the Widow's Peak hair. No other sets until summer 2009, where I think like some agent set had it, and maybe another set had it, had the Widow's Peak hair, which is so overused in licensed sets nowadays. Then there's the Pirate Tank set, which was a Target exclusive set. Always wanted this one for the Hondo minifigure and the Turk minifigure, I believe he's called, and a cheap way to get that Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars, because I wanted that hair so much so that I bricklinked it recently. I think that was in a bricklink haul video. There's a Home 1 Mon Calamari Star Cruiser set, which came with our well, not our first, but our, like, what, I think 3rd or 4th Lego A-Wing, and it came with a cool playset build. This was one of the sets, you know, for the, well, it was episode 6, but it was one of the first sets commemorating the 10th anniversary of Lego Star Wars. There's the Midi scale Millennium Falcon, which was a Walmart exclusive, one of the only 2 Midi scale Lego Star Wars sets released. There's the Clone Walker Battle Pack set, which is a really cheap way and a very nostalgic set for many of us because it was a cheap way to get clone troopers back in the day. There's Assassin Droids Battle Pack, which, I don't know, there's something about getting droids instead of minifigures that feels like the value of this set is less than, say, the Clone Trooper Battle Pack. There's a Hyena Droid Bomber set, which never really cared about this vehicle, and I heard from friends that this is a really unstable vehicle, but I'm not sure if that claim is really verified, because I don't own this set personally. There's Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, which this was another one of the sets commemorating the 10th anniversary of Lego Star Wars. Really wanted this set back in the day, and it was only $30, which is a really good price for the TIE Fighter. The TIE Advanced Prototype one was $40, and I think this is a more substantial build than that one. And there was also the Armored Assault Tank, the AAT. It's alright. It was actually the first set to have Clone Wars Yoda in it, so that's kind of interesting to note. The Republic Attack Shuttle, which I think was the first set to have Clone Wars Mace Windu in. There's General Grievous' Starfighter Polybag. The Separatist Shuttle, which was the first set to have Nute Gunray in it, and I really do like that minifigure. And the actual design of the Separatist Shuttle was not a bad design whatsoever. Anakin's Y-Wing, which I think had Ahsoka Tana in it as well. There's the Battle of Endor, which was another one of those 10th anniversary sets. Very cool Endor play set, and they haven't done one of these since. I'm sure we'll probably get one either next year or the year after. Very, very cool, and I think it was like $100. I wanted it back then, and I hope to get it someday, because it's only about $30 more on eBay. Like, I see it run from $130 to $150 on eBay. That plus the Ewok Village would be really cool as a pair-up. There's the Venator class Republic attack cruiser, which I think this was 120. Let me check. Yeah, 120. And it was 1,170 pieces. This was cool. This was a direct-to-consumer Clone Wars set, which is kind of weird because I guess I didn't think that LEGO would think that the Clone Wars target demographic was the target demographic of direct-to-consumer sets. I think this is around like actually 250, which is really interesting, and it's a humongous set. There's also the Tantive, and the Tantive is our second Rebel Blockade runner, and it was another set commemorating 10 years of LEGO Star Wars. Very, very impressive build, and I believe this one goes for a lot on eBay, like so much. It's one, if I recall correctly, it's one of the highest secondhand sets from its original price of I think around 150. There's also the Republic Attack Cruiser, Polybag, the ATTE Walker Polybag, Republic Gunship, Battle Droid on STAP Polybags, which this starts getting interesting because they started releasing polybags of LEGO Star Wars with minifigures, which they only did, I think, this year and the year after. They haven't done since. There's also the Clone Walker Polybag, which you can see has a clone trooper in it. I wish they would do that nowadays. Then there's the Chrome Darth Vader promo, which this was cool because any sets that I think were the 10th anniversary sets could have this hidden in the box. So you have to buy the set, and it might be hidden in there. And so it has a Chrome Darth Vader in it. There's some Comic-Con exclusives, which were actually display stands, which are pretty interesting once you think about it that way. And there's actually 6 of them. Then we're on to 2010, which had the Rebel Trooper Battle Pack, the Snow Trooper Battle Pack, which were 2 really cool Episode 5 themed sets. There's the Free Coast Speeder, which I really liked because it was a non-Hoth Star Wars set that was, you know, in an Arctic-like theme. I like that alien minifigure. I think it's like a Freako War or something like that. The Droid Starfighter, which we got one of these, I think, in 2014. The TIE Defender, which is a really impressive-looking build, and it's an expanded universe set. The ARC 170 Starfighter, which is a really impressive build. I do actually like it. It's from Revenge of the Sith. The Hoth Wampa Cave, which is a really nice set for, I think, how much was it? For $40. And that's really cool because it came with the Hoth Wampa, which doesn't really come in too many sets, and it was one of the early big figs. And that was just when they started getting into the big fig craze. And it also came with a snow speeder. The Republic Swamp Speeder, which is a set that goes for less on eBay than it does nowadays, which is kind of interesting to note. I believe it was a Target exclusive. And then there's Luke's Land Speeder, which is really kind of an interesting Walmart exclusive set. Because, you know, the first LEGO Star Wars set was Luke's Land Speeder, I think, from the original trilogy. And then we had Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter, just an easy way to get Plo Koon. There was General Grievous' Starfighter, which was an easy way to get General Grievous, and this one looks so much better than the older version. You can see he even has a printed face, which looks just a lot better. Emperor Palpatine's Shuttle from Revenge of the Sith. Another cool battle-damaged Darth Vader minifigure was included here, and it was just a really cool set that also came with the Transformation Chamber, which was a separate set from 2005, if you remember that. There's also the Slave One, which this was, I guess, the last wide retail release Slave One set, which was also really impressive, and I wish I would have got this set because I saw it on sale at Barnes & Noble's, like, I think in 2013 maybe. There's a Clone Turbo Tank, which, I think the most recent one's probably the best one. This one does look a little bit bare bones, but has a good minifigure selection, including Cad Bane. The Midi Scale Imperial Star Destroyer, this was that second Midi Scale set, and it was also a Walmart exclusive. Cad Bane's Speeder, which, again, a cheap way to get Cad Bane. Cad Bane's an incredible LEGO minifigure and a cool character in Clone Wars from what I heard. There's the AT-AT Walker, or sorry, the AT-AT. That's the correct term. Don't dump me there. And this was cool, even though it wasn't motorized. It was a Toys R Us exclusive, and I think around $120. There was the direct-to-consumer Imperial Shuttle set, which was $260. And it's humongous, and I think they had like a little feature with the wings that you could make them fold up. I'm not entirely sure about that. There was Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, which I heard was one of the worst-selling direct-to-consumer sets, and this was around $90. Then there was an Imperial Shuttle Polybag for Brickmaster, an AT-AT Polybag for Brickmaster, Republic Attack Shuttle Polybag. There was a Chrome Stormtrooper, which is actually a really cool promotional Polybag, and a white Boba Fett figure to celebrate 30 years of the Empire Strikes Back. So that's it for all of the sets from 2008 to 2010. Tell me which ones were your favorites, and I'll see you guys later.